Will the Patriots have to possibly trade up to get one of their targets in the NFL draft? Because ESPN released a report of 7 prospects that could be getting their draft stock rising. We're going to talk about it on today's show, but first, we're starting a sub battle with our good old pal Moose over at the Broncos Breakdown. Right now, I'm setting it at 0-0, but they could beat us just like that. So if you want daily Patriots updates and to just shove it in the face of the Broncos Breakdown host, make sure you guys hit that sub button because we got you NFL content all off season long. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper. So Jeff Legwold of ESPN, he released an article about 7 players whose draft stock will rise going into the NFL draft. And some of these guys, the Patriots are very, very interested in. And some of them, well, there can be guys where it's just, it's not that big of a deal. But one of these players, I'm just like, oh boy, here we go. But I want to say for Jeff Legwold, what is his credibility? Well, he talked about it last year, just how he released the same article, how Armin Membu's stock is going to rise. And he rose all the way to pick 7 last year. And then he wasn't also done there. He talked about another offensive lineman, Gray Zabel, who rose to pick 18 with the Seattle Seahawks last year. So this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. So I would not take anything, or I would take him very heavily on what he's talking about, because a lot of these guys, I'm starting to see other people talking about possibly their draft stock rising and rising and rising, and the Patriots might miss out on one of those prospects if they're looking at him. Let's start with the first 2, who I don't think really have any involvement with the New England Patriots, so it's not really anything to worry about. And the first thing's Monroe Freeling. And we've talked about Monroe Freeling on the channel before because he was one of the original players that we had mocked to the Patriots at pick 31. And when you look at his scouting report, he's an offensive tackle, kind of a developmental guy, but what we're looking at is developmental guys to sit behind Morgan Moses. Talented pass blocker, impressive frame, great athletic traits, moves well for his size, and does a great job mirroring in pass protection. Needs more power, though, especially in the run game, but if you kind of get him that developmental, he could learn. 72 overall pass blocker, or PFF grade, only 3 sacks allowed, and 9 pressures the whole entire year. And he is an amazing athlete. You could see with his RAS score, he has the height, he has the weight, vertical jump, broad jump, the 40-yard dash, and his arm length, that is a number one thing that I'm looking at. And you can see right there, 34 inches. Yeah, perfect RAS score. He's rising on draft big boards, but he's not going to be there for the Patriots, which kind of sucks. So I would love to have him, but we're not going to have him. The second one could possibly be a safety, and I know the Patriots are kind of bringing in prospects for top 30 visits for a safety. We saw Emmanuel McNeil-Warren kind of be one of those guys. Dylan Thieneman is also a guy, the safety out of Oregon, who has been having his draft stock rise over and over and over. When you look at his scouting report, this could be a guy that could replace Kevin Byard after this season because he's only on a 1-year deal. Very good athlete, willing in run support and can play over the top. Has the ball skills and improved his tackling every season. Too willing at times to keep his eyes on the quarterback. So, thank God Drake May's our quarterback and not Drake May's not on another team because he would probably tear Dylan Thieneman apart. But when you look at his RAS score, he's one hell of an athlete, but his height and the weight is kind of one of the things that concerns you. Also not your strongest, as bench is only, I think that's at 10. I can't really read that for my sake. But his vertical jump, really good. Broad jump, 40-yard dash. He is a speed demon, and his RAS score is pretty good. But these guys, I don't think are on the Patriots big board. I don't think they're going to be looking at these 2 guys. There's possibly 2 prospects, though, that could have been on because the Patriots are looking for a safety, also looking for a tackle. Freeling was big and high on the Patriots in December, but ever since he's kind of moved up since the NFL Combine, being all the way to pick, like, I think 12, the dream is long gone for Monroe Freeling to be with his teammate from last year, 2 years ago, Jared Wilson. But what position do the Patriots need to target in the draft more than anything? You let me know down in the comments. I'm going to say edge rusher or offensive tackle or possibly a wide receiver, but we know which wide receiver could be coming to the Patriots come June 2nd. Let's get to the first draft riser from Legwold's report. And this is kind of disappointing for me. Max Iheanachor, and we've talked about him on the channel so many times because he's my number one guy. But Legwold says that his draft stock has completely risen and he could be out of the Patriots' reach. Here's what Legwold had to say. The 6'6", 321-pounder started 5 games in his first season at ASU in 2023, but it's his complete resume of 26 college starts that's shown how far he has come. Scouts took note of Iheanachor's one-on-one work against Texas Tech's edge players last season, which is Bailey and also Romello Height, and he was completely consistent and impactful in the Senior Bowl workouts. For some, the draft is about potential over production, and Iheanachor is still an ascending player who needs to smooth out the rough edges, but with his size, mobility, the 4.95 40 time, and 83-inch wingspan, he has the qualities offensive line coaches wanting to tackle. In the scouting report, the biggest thing, talking about development. He didn't start playing football. He was a basketball player and a soccer player up until 2021. He's got big upside, impressive size and mobility. Still raw, and it shows, but you get him alongside a guy like Doug Marrone and kind of just that offense, Josh McDaniels, I think that he could really develop. But, guys, this ain't good. He's my guy at number 31. And I want Max Iheanachor with the Patriots no matter what. He's my guy, and then I'm going with an edge rusher in round 2. This is not good because if his draft stock rise, well, now we're possibly going to have to trade up for him. We're really going to have to trade up for a guy that we possibly want. And we heard yesterday from Elliott Wolf saying that he's not ruling out any possibility of trading up in the NFL draft, and it could be because this reason right here. So I was thinking, what could a team possibly to trade up? Well, the Patriots already traded with the Chicago Bears once. We gave them a center in Garrett Bradbury, so why not trade him again? And this is a possible trade that I think could work if you wanted to trade up to 25 and get Iheanachor because I think he would be there. The one team I'm looking at is the Houston Texans at 28. That's the biggest thing. At 28, I think they could take Iheanachor. So you get the 31st pick and the 2026 third-round pick, which is pick 95. You give that over to the Bears, and we get pick 95 or pick 25. So I think that would work to get Iheanachor. But it depends on if you want to do that trade and move up in the draft and get rid of your third-round pick. You can also jump right back in and trade back into the third round to get it. But what'd you make this trade? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me Y for yes or N for no down in the comment section. You let me know. Are you making this trade to trade up and get Max Iheanachor? The next guy is Ted Hurst. And he was a guy that, I'm going to be honest, I had never heard of this guy out of Georgia State until probably about a week, 2 weeks ago, but he is one wide receiver that you look at, and he could possibly be one of those guys later rounds. Here's what Legwold had to say. Hurst has worked himself from a late day 3 player to a one who could hear his name on day 2. 3-year starter, 1 at Valdosta State, and 2 at Georgia State. After being a 0-star recruit as a prep player, he has been a regular on the top 30 visit circuit in recent weeks. It has been a steady rise as his play has caught up to 6'4", 206-pound measurables. He's a big wide receiver, which the Patriots could look at. Hurst had 1,000 receiving yards at a season that Georgia State had 3,000 passing yards. So 1/3 of the Panthers' passing offense. And when you look at his 2025 stats, I mean, they're really good. 124 targets. He was one of their main guys on their offense. 1,000 yards, the 14.1 average. The one thing I look at, though, is the 7 drops. But he's a good red zone target with 6 touchdowns. I mean, you throw the ball up to him, he's probably going to come down and catch it. And that's what that's some guy that Drake May is going to need in his offense. When you look at the scouting report, what is the number one thing? Big play threat, who can make guys miss and win in contested catches. That's what the Patriots need. Improved last season, forcing missed tackles and creating after the catch. That's something also that we could use. Facing a jumping competition at the NFL level. And I could see this be a target for the Patriots in round 3, or if they wanted to trade up, because my big board, I'm going offensive lineman with Iheanachor. Then you're going to get an edge rusher, probably in Gabe Akis. And then you go and get your wide receiver in the later rounds, because I truly think that A.J. Brown is going to come here. So I'm not drafting a guy in the second round. If Brazel's there, go ahead and take him. But I'm going with this guy in round 3. And another wide receiver that the Patriots could look at, and a guy that's draft stock is rising, is Jeff Caldwell, wide receiver out of Cincinnati. And I'm not going to go into great details with Caldwell, but when you look at his RAS score, it's got a 10 out of 10. I mean, 6'4". All these guys have draft stock rising, 6'4". And what do the Patriots need? 6'4" wide receiver. That's what I want. The 42-inch vertical is insane. And then his 40-yard dash. He's speedy. That's all you need. When you look at his stats, though, it's nothing kind of crazy. I mean, only 32 receptions, 478 yards, the 14.9 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns, but he also has only 3 drops. You put him with a good quarterback, and what do I always say? Good quarterbacks make good wide receivers. They elevate your wide receivers. So maybe you pair him up with Drake May. He could be a guy that you look at and he's like, oh, okay. He could elevate his game and make him a top wide receiver coming out of this draft. The next one on the list, Eric Gentry. Here's the first edge rusher, and I could see this. Let's say the Patriots go and trade up. Well, then here's a guy that could possibly see in the later rounds if you want to go and get an edge, because we also have other needs too. Here's what Jeff Legwold had to say about him. There's a smattering of evaluators who say they could see the 6'7", 228-pound Gentry sneak into the late 4th or 5th round. The biggest questions are what his body will look like after going through an NFL strength program for a year or two where he would fit. And that might take significant crystal ball skills. He worked out with the defensive lineman at the NFL Combine, and his measurements are tempting for teams that feel like they can add strength and mass to improve his ability to get off blocks. He has an 86-inch wingspan and ran a 4.6 to 40 at his pro day. Some scouts had him at a 4.5, which presents pass rush options. Gentry was also productive with 5 forced fumbles last season and 9 in his college career. When you look at his stats, I mean, he could be a guy for you that could really set the edge, or maybe you see his size and strength. You could easily move him to the inside. 76 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 forced fumbles. So he's a hard-hitting type of player. And that's what the Patriots need. When you look at their edge depth chart, you have Draymond Jones and Harold Landry. I tell you guys all the time, you are going to have to get a pass rusher. You are going to get a pass rusher. And Gentry could be someone you look at your list or your big board if you don't take an edge early, because I've seen a lot of things. Offensive tackle. Then you could go get a linebacker. If Jacob Robinson is there, you can go and take him. They have some people saying that the Patriots take a guard in the 2nd round or 3rd round. Then you go wide receiver, a safety, you get your edge rusher late, and Gentry could be one of those picks. But I'm probably going with an edge rusher in the early rounds. And the last one is kind of what we haven't really talked about on the channel a lot, but I see the Patriots going and drafting a running back. And out of NDSU, Barika Kapinu, or Pinu, if the K is silent. I'm not 100% sure. But he's a solid guy. I mean, you know how I feel about the FCS players, but he was an absolute dog for North Dakota State. Him on the running back, and then Bryce Lance in the wide receiver. But 191 carries, over 1,000 yards, 20 touchdowns in 2025. 20 touchdowns. That could be someone the Patriots look at in the long rush of 74. But I truly see the Patriots targeting another running back, because yesterday they held a top 30 visit with a running back who's also kind of ascending, who I think is going to be one of the guys that goes in day 3. And that is the Indiana running back, Caleb Black. 5'10", 210 pounds. Like I said, they held him for a top 30 visit. He's not one of your guys that's going to be your day 1 starter. They have Ramondre Stevenson. You have Travion Henderson, and me personally, I really like Lan Larison. But I could see him definitely being one of those guys that the Patriots look at in the later rounds to maybe be a Ramondre Stevenson replacement. When you look at his career stats, when he played at JMU and then he followed Kirk Cignetti to Indiana, he was a 1,000-yard rusher when you go and have all their playoff games, 10 total touchdowns. The year before, he's just gotten better and better and better. And I think that the Patriots like his size and strength, because if you look at their depth chart, Ramondre's the only kind of power back that they have. You have Terrell Jennings, but do the Patriots see a future with Terrell Jennings, or do they see him as a possible special teams guy? I personally think Ramondre has 1 year left with the Patriots. I think after this year, they might look to move off of him, and then you have to bring in some guy that still has that bulldozing and speed. So Caleb Black could definitely be one of those guys that they look at for a day 3 pick. I'm pretty sure we also heard Elliott Wolf say that they're kind of looking at running backs in the later rounds as someone to bring in and kind of look towards the future for the New England Patriots. And you also have to be thinking about the future at all times. But those are 7 guys, and a lot of those players I could see the Patriots kind of looking at, specifically maybe Ted Hurst. And let's hope Iheanachor is there at 31, or the Patriots are going to have to trade up. But are you excited for the NFL Draft? 9 days away from the NFL Draft. Let me know down in the comment section if you're excited for the draft. Give me a Y for yes or N for no. And also, while you're down there, go ahead and hit that sub button. We have a sub battle going on with the Broncos breakdown. I want to shove it to host Trace Moustakis, and I also just want to give you guys the Patriots content you need. So hit that sub button right now, and as always, let's go Pats.